Once again, we return from a one-week break back to Green Flag TV, and today has been a hotly anticipated day. We've been waiting for this ever since we realized it was on the wheel. Well, that time is finally here. It's time to let loose at the Nürburgring. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Green Flag TV and to our first ever broadcast on the Nordschleife. We'll be running the Give a Strecke short circuit without the Mercedes Arena, and that will take us throughout the rest of the absolutely famous circuit. It's called the Green Hell for a reason. It's the longest racing circuit on the planet, and it is one of the most famous as well. It's known as the Green Hell for a reason. It punishes mistakes. The only runoff here is grass with the occasional sand trap. Armco barriers never more than a couple of car lengths away from the racetrack. This track will punish every single mistake, and it is not one that you are going to want to miss, or one you want to underestimate. My name is Oliver Austin Edstrom should be joining us pretty soon here in the broadcast booth, hopefully. Before we get down to your championship format, let's take a look at the point standings entry tonight. After a wild one at Bristol Motor Speedway, Austin Tucker extends his points lead now up by a good 18 points into Giovanni Armando. You see, with the 18 beers that Tucker's drank so far this season, had Austin Tucker not gotten those beer points, he would definitely be tied with Romano right now for the points lead. Scott Fleming has picked up one position. He's gone to third, while Bueller has jumped up 7 from 12th in the points all the way up into the top 5 and only 1 away from Jake Kasich. He is now just 6 points off of Scott Fleming as well in the battle for third. We'll take a look at the teams championships here coming on up in just a moment. And right now, quite a few changes, unlike what we saw last season. 99 Moves has jumped Serial Team 6. They are now sitting only 23 points behind Hot Wheels for the main Teams Championship League. Classic Card Click, meanwhile, has bumped Fluorescent Folks, Schnitz and Giggles, and the Flying Donut Motorsports crew all down by 1 spot. So Classic Cup Click is looking strong this afternoon, as they have entered the 4th place in the points, but they've got over 100 if they want to get up to 3rd and do battle with the likes of Serial Team 6 and 99 Movies. So that's going to take us around once again to racing action this afternoon. Qualifying is currently underway around the Green Hell as you watch Scott Fleming take himself around this racetrack. Kind of going to take a look at the format. It's a very different format than we're used to seeing this afternoon. Normally we'd have a 20-lap qualifying session. Today it is only a 12-lap qualifying session with 1 timed lap available for all drivers in this one. Only time for 1 lap, I should say, and we're already 8 minutes deep into that 12-minute qualifying session. The sprint race is going to be based off of laps, as will the feature event. Instead of being 15 minutes, the sprint race will be 3 laps, the bare minimum that iRacing allows, and that is going to, that's going to mean here that with the sprint race is going to be about 20 minutes, so well longer than we're used to seeing for a sprint races. And the feature event going to be a 7-lap race around this absolutely fantastic racetrack that is almost 15 miles in length. So the way this shakes up with the Code 69s, the way this is going to work now is Code 69s are still in effect this afternoon. That is not going to be changing. The big change that's going to be happening in terms of the Code 69s is how they're deployed. They can be deployed at any time from the start of the race to the start of the final lap. Now, here's the deal for the Code 69s. They still go into play at the start-finish line. Then we'll pace through the Grand Prix layout. There's going to be absolutely no wave rounds being given, as is per the norm. And as soon as they hit the Nordschleife and the leader receives the "you have the field" message, then it is at their discretion of when they want to launch, and that will take the field back to Green Flag Racing once we hit that Nordschleife. So still have a possibility for 2 Code 69s throughout the course of the afternoon. As you see the Eiffel Forest stretching over the mountainside, and you can see the track of the Nordschleife winding through the woods. It is a truly astonishing place to behold, and To be frank, not a place that I thought we'd be spinning randomly on the wheel. Normally, this was going to be one that we were going to be reserving for a broadcaster's pick, but no. This race this afternoon was spun randomly on that wheel, and you can see in play right now just how important that race is and how critical this one could be for several drivers in the field. Jumping back, this is Ben Williams working his way through the final stages of the Nordschleife layout. He's about to hit that long Donahoe back straightaway. And this is the longest stretch in the world, comparable to if you were to run the Mulsanne straight at Le Mans without any chicanes. And right now, this is a great indicator of the top speed that you can get. Ben Williams opening up the taps. 140 miles an hour is going to shift up into 6th. Bump drafting is going to be key. There's definitely going to be some bump traffic this afternoon. Only 17 cars, by the way, have put down qualifying laps out of over 40 in this field because other drivers were not able to get times logged. Up the hill under the Bilstein Bridge and going to hit 160 miles an hour, the fastest point on the circuit, before jamming on the brakes into this final S's. And with 10 seconds on the clock, it does not look as though Ben Williams is going to be able to get a time in log. He can see the start-finish line, but he is just barely going to miss out, as there is the checkered flag. So with all that said and done, time to take a rundown of what your starting grid is going to look like this afternoon, as you got 43 cars gridded up and ready to rumble as we get set to let loose at the ring. Starting on pole position this afternoon, you're going to have Alex Coughlin alongside Scott Fleming. Jay Kasich starts third with Chris Hannigan back in fourth. Alex King, rookie driver this afternoon, going to start at fifth. Antonio Alvarez starts sixth. Justin Hall will be back in seventh. Darren Bai is eighth. Chris Bright is in ninth. And James Gouge, another rookie driver, going to be closing out the top 10. From there, it's going to be Matthew Dupuis, Carson Catlin, Corey Barrett, Brooks Clayton, Evan Campbell, Adam Joseph Milhog, Greg Beckman, Jason Lee, Tyler Vianden, and Jordan Babcock for the top 20. Moving out to the field, a lot of the pro drivers that were not able to put down times. Giovanni Romano, Eric Rodenberg, Kyle Blevins, Henry Morse, another rookie to the season, making his first appearance this afternoon. And you got Bueller, Augustino, Combs, Tucker, Carlton, and Wolf to close out the top 30. And your remaining drivers headed up by Chris Flam, Shane Cameron, Ben Williams, Ringo Harrison, Chris Zilfer, Ethan Patel, Kyle Smith, Barry Piper, Jeremy Castro, Ryan Murphy, Steph Purcell, Blake Gambrell, and Ethan Condy closes out the field on this Wednesday afternoon. So this is going to be a rolling start, it looks like, here. And the field just about ready to rumble away down the Donahoe. Plenty of cars gridded on up, and looking like Giovanni Romano is going to be missing that call this afternoon. Will not be able to get on to the main start of this race. He is going to be starting his race back from pit road, and he's got quite a distance to wait on him. As the field going to start to roll out. We already have one car in the grass, and that's Austin Tucker before we can even get down to the start-finish stretch. Well, Austin, wherever you are, wish you were here. This race is going to be an absolute barn burner. I know this was a track that both of us were looking to eventually putting onto our lists, and, well, we'll be able to safely cross it out. track's going to work its way down into turn numbers, I was about to say turn numbers 3 and 4, and I think we are well past turns 3 and 4, though. I mean, more like 190 just about. As we will be in the hands of Alex Coffer, the Flying Donut Motorsports driver, over on the right-hand side of the racetrack, has the inside for that critical turn 1 hairpin. Field's going to bunch up as the pace car makes the drive down to pit road. And now waiting on the iRacing starter to kick this race off. Time to let loose at the ring. To get ever closer, stacking up in the background. Green flags out. We're racing for the sprint. One car already into the wall in the background. That's the 39 entry. Everyone else slicing and dicing as a few go evasive down into the first hairpin slash skins of the racetrack. 2 cars get spun round, and more caught up at the apex, 1 up into the air. And looking like we're going to be able to get this show on the road. 1 more car goes off the road. I believe that to be Castro into the wall on the right-hand side, just shy of turn 3. Now set up for 4. Coffer pulling clear while the rest of the pack trying to get single filed out deeper in the field. Coffer leading the way. And it's 1 car off the road behind. That was Carson Catlin, and they're fighting for second as Fleming and Kasich go at it into the chicane, and Fleming going to cut straight across the chicane. Lex Kasich through for second. Alex King picks up third, and down the inside goes the Bucky's number 37 of Scott Fleming. And we are on to the Nordschleife for the first time tonight. Oh, 1 more car going around. That's Brooks Clayton almost finding the wall. Oh, and now look out as Alvarez make that haul, kicking the tail end out big time. 1 car hard into the fence. That is Kyle Blevins off on the right-hand side. Having to wait for the entire field to cycle through. Alex Coffer, meanwhile, going to set himself up for that critical jump, and this is the static camera we have. And watch the launch of this field up and over the rise. Would be amazed if we did not see at least 1 car going off in this corner. Up over the hill, Chris Flam's getting a little bit caught up, but overall looking like we're going to actually kind of get out of this relatively clean. This is at Nürburgring, setting ourselves up for the run down to Flugplatz. Justin Hall off again, this time catches the right side wall. Very, very tough sequence of corners to work your way through, but it does look like we're going to be able to do just that now down the hill. Through Flugplatz, German for Foxhole, then up the hill once again. One car slow on the racetrack. This is what happened to Kyle Blevins early on. As just got caught up on the curb, sent around high-speed spin into the wall that no one else collected. Here's a thick battle pack. This is 19th through 22nd under a blanket. Carson Catlin in the mix. Ben Williams, Ron Wolf, Ethan Patel, Carson Catlin off the road. And Williams under fire from Ron Wolf under fire from Ben Williams. Contact between the two. As we send it deep into the corner and up on top of the curbing. Nathan Patel able to maintain momentum still. Rookie start already up 15 spots in his first ever sprint race. Not a bad start at all for Patel. And then this here, the battle for fourth on back. This racetrack's so difficult to overtake at. Again, not a racetrack you want to underestimate. Greg Beckman under fire. Ben Williams trying to go the long way around, and he's going to do just that. Great run there for Ben Williams to pick off a spot. And now the fight for eighth. Corey Barrett, Antonio Alvarez, side by side, looking for it at least. They're not going to commit to it. While Adam Joseph Mailhot gets a little bit crossed up as well. Brooks Clayton trying to fire his way through. And now we're on to the second fastest part of the racetrack, a series of long, winding straights. You're on board with Alexander Bueller running in 13th as he chases down Brooks Clayton. Sucks up to the tail end with the draft, but there's not a lot of room to go to make that move. And one car, too, is into the grass. That's Williams. Williams turned. Williams hard into the Armco. He's going to take Jason Lee with him. Fires back across the track. Collects Patel. Collects a bunch of them. Oh, boy, it's a huge pile up. Multiple cars up into the wall, into the air. Disaster on the back straight. Meanwhile, cars hitting the carousel for the final time, but a monster of a crash coming down the back chute. One more time, this is what happened to Patel. Watch as he just tracks right Jason Lee. Caught up on the curbing. Not a lot of places to take that run. Carson Catlin got sent in the middle of all of that as well, and one car got kicked up into the air on top of the 703 of Matthew Dupuis. Henry Morse takes over the spot from Adam Joseph Mailhot in the meantime. Morse with a good charge. He's up 10 spots in a 14th. Then there's Tyler Augustino. He hangs on from Evan Campbell, but only just as we enter the third sector of the racetrack. All of this taking place in just one lap worth of racing. Diving through that unbelievable dip. Brooks Clayton still closing in on Evan Campbell. Alexander Bueller runs just behind, a three-way slugfest for the number 11 spot. While up the road, the battle for third. Scott Fleming, Alex King, Chris Hannigan. One more corner to go before we hit the back straightaway. Now, here's my big question. How much can they get themselves set up for that run down the Dalton-Nahoe to catch up to the top two? If they can bump trap with each other, there is a chance. John Combs is around to the tail end, as is Chris Flams, and oh my God. Flams backs across the road and nearly takes out Ben Williams. This is a frightening moment, as right on board with Williams here, as he's going to approach the accident scene unsighted and just gets through that unscathed. Fleming and King, meanwhile, not able to run down the top two. They'll remain in lockstep. Here's a side-by-side fight down the back stretch. Brooks Clayton and Evan Campbell. Side by side, up over the rise and into that critical final SS. And rounding the last couple of corners back to the front straightaway. Antonio Alvarez going to make a move on Chris Bright, while Alex Kings, oh my goodness, Alex Kings sending it to the inside of Chris Hannigan, takes out Hannigan on the outside. The Bucky's number 4 sent sideways. And we got big problems at the tail end. Condi and Ronenberg both off the road, and the SS rejoins the track right in front of John Combs. Take a look at what happened between Condi and the 016. Contact between the two sends them both off the road at a high rate of speed. And lucky that that crash was not worse. Greg Beckman, meanwhile, looking like he also got collected in a turn 1 incident on the Grand Prix layout, and no, just trying to go for the over-under. Multiple cars at the pit road. Castro, Bai, Dupuis, Catlin, Lee, Viet, and Combs, Gambrell, and Moore all into the lane. One car around. Chris Bryant, top of the hill, down at turn 1 of the Nordschleife. Boy, what a wild opening lap to this 3-lap sprint race. All things considered, could have been a heck of a lot worse than it ended up being. Right now we're watching the 3-way scrap for 8th place between Corey Barrett, Tyler Augustino, and Brooks Clayton. This track's such a driver's racetrack. We're going to ride on board here with Augustino. It's going to be up and over the jump right behind Corey Barrett. Thinks better of it, and now gearing up for the double right apex corner. Just past the 4-kilometer distance marker. And now, one of the most frightful corners on the circuit because of how much you can get messed up here. Even more scary when he goes side by side through here. Corey Barrett thinks better of it. He's going to lift out as Blind over a crest, high speed, and immediately jammed on the binders for a long right hairpin. Now down the hill towards Flugplatz. You see how much that camera undulates as it goes down through the crevices, then up over the hill. Truly a sight to behold. Right now, this is one of the closest battles on the racetrack. Other fights, the other big battle on the racetrack right now is for third between Dupuis, Lee, and Catlin. Otherwise, most drivers are just kind of running a bit of no man's land with at least a second between them. No surprises on that front either, as drivers have got to try to really dance around this racetrack to keep things settled. Here's a pass, though. Ethan Condi, Eric Ronenberg, we saw them come together at the end of the Dartnall stretch last time by. Just shy of Tiergarten, and well, they were able to kind of get it gathered up, but a kick at the tail end there for Ronenberg shows that he might still be pushing that car. Up the road, Tucker and Romano. This, I believe, is just shy of Metzgetsfeld. And apologies, by the way, for my butchering of German. I am, of course, not a native German speaker, but approaching Metzgetsfeld. Oh, sorry, that was past Metzgetsfeld. We're actually in Hirschwerk right now and headed to the Kesselchen straight. Eric Ronenberg has had a moment, it looks like. This is with Condi. As whoops, clips the wall and just keeps it out of the tires. All right, through the kink. Only about 3 or 4 quarters to go before we hit the carousel. And speaking of the carousel, around to the exit is Chris Hannigan. In a side-by-side battle up the hill is Alexander Mueller going to get through the lot of them. Meanwhile, here is that ongoing battle that we already saw. This is what happened to Hannigan. Self-inflicted, underestimated the carousel, dipped 2 wheels just onto the transition and spun her off the road. Ethan Condi looking like he has just potentially lost connection to the server as he is down to now 1 car to the grass. That's Bueller. With Augustino rapidly approaching along with Corey Bear and Brooks Clay. That's going to check all 3 of them up. And the fight for 7th is on. Side by side. Through that aggressive kink on board with Alexander Bueller as he tries to battle back against Tyler Augustino. Brooks Clayton, meanwhile, the front row seat to everything going on with the 3 cars in front of him. Working through the 3rd sector of the race course, and are we going to go side by side again? Yes, we will. Well, at least he thought about it. Look out, Augustino! Off the road! Back to the right! Hard into the Arco. He's going to lose a handful. Augustino drops like a stone all the way out of the top 10 and now down to 12. That could give him the top 12 invert that he needs to take the lead. Going into the main event. 1 more car hard off the road. That's Ben Williams, and another drafting battle for 3rd, Fleming and King. Still within 2.6 seconds of Jake Kasich, but they just can't do anything about it. Meanwhile, this is the run back here. Look out, Bueller. What the heck is Bueller doing? Alexander Bueller all over the shot. Alex Cobb going to try his hand at pit road while we take the final lap in the sprint race. And in fact, a lot of drivers actually coming down a pit road here. It's not just Crawford. Oh boy. We got big dramas here. Splash and go. I don't think anybody could actually go the distance to make it on the fuel. So practically everyone hits pit road as we start the final lap. Alex Crawford is already off and away. Giovanni Romano, though, thinks he can go the distance as he will stay out. He goes up to 6th. Alvarez thinks he can make it. He goes up to 6th. Tucker to 7th. Henry Morse goes up to 9th. While Justin Hall fades out of pit road, and now we see drivers starting to blend back into the racetrack. So final trip around in our 3-lap sprint. Off the road behind for a moment, Alex King. Dropping down through the field. Tyler Vianden has had an issue. In fact, he's had a couple of issues. This is on the approach to turn 1, and he's gone off the road. Oh, way overshot the braking point. And had to take the long way around to recorrect. Now a battle. Romano's caught King up over the hill. Giovanni Romano gets through to 4th. Alex King, though, trying to go for the over-under. King making a move to try to retake 4th. Still within a 10th and a half. He's got the draft. If he can be brave enough, coming into Armberg, he might have a shot. Over Cottonborn into Armberg, and no dice this time around. Tell you what, not for lack of trying, though. Alex King is still there, and he is still ready to do battle. Meanwhile, Mail Hot, Wolf, Hannigan, Carlton, four-ways fight for 15th. A four-way scrap for the top 15. Battle for 12th, meanwhile, has dropped off somewhat as two cars go heavily into the wall. One of them being Ron Wolf, the other one being Adam Joseph Melhut himself. Carlton's just able to pick off spots for the both of them. So Ron Wolf is going to continue his strong drive. He is just barely going to keep Adam Joseph Melhut at bay. We've already seen overdrive it has costed him once this final lap, but he's hoping it won't cost him more. Henry Morse, meanwhile, picks up another spot from Austin Tucker. Morse plus 17, Tucker plus 20 in the sprint. One car off the road, that is Greg Beckman. Oh boy, he is not the only one, as Carson Catlett found the wall big, and Greg Beckman just kind of followed him in. Three-tenths of a second between Romano and King. Down to 2. King's got to run. Can he make that diver 4? They'd have to be somewhere in the carousel. And if he's not going to get him there, he's going to have to wait for potentially another opportunity to open up down the road, but he is rapidly losing spots. Alex Coffer, by the way, has taken to pit road, and this was his traditional exit as he is gone. Well, he tried to go straight on. The game wouldn't allow it, but I think we both know what he ended up accomplishing there. So all of a sudden, this turns into a grudge match for third. Quarter of a second down. Oh boy, both cars get loose coming over the hill. 6 seconds up the road as sprint race leader Scott Fleming. Jake Kasich sits just 1.2 behind and trying to find some speed in these final stages. There's a move. King tried to make the look. It wasn't happening, though. Further down, this is Ryan Murphy and Harrison. It's going to be a long closing stage of this race to determine who's going to start where in that main event. It's going to be several minutes after the checker flag falls before we get a definitive answer. There's Fleming, there's Kasich, and there is your fight for third between Romano and King. A five-way fight as well for 20th going on right now, and this is not one to be overlooked either, as there's a lot going on here. Murphy, Harrison, Dupuis, Williams, and Combs all under a blanket. Meanwhile, we are hitting the Donegal back straightaway for the final time. One car off the road in the battle for 20, and that's Ryan Murphy. He's going to drop off at the tail end. And Brooks Clayton has also found the wall. Meanwhile, for third place, does King have the momentum to run down Romano for third in the final lap? He's there. He's looking. He's attacking. Alex King gets up to third. And he's into the grass. Can he lock it down? I think he's just going to be able to do it. Scott Fleming, meanwhile, off of the final corner, takes the sprint race win. Kasich second. The drag race to the line for third between King and Romano. It's Romano hanging on ahead of Alex King. Alvarez picks up fifth. Morrison sixth. Paul seventh. Tucker and Bueller eighth. And no, never mind. Tucker looking like he's going to run it out. He and Alex Bueller run out. They'll go eighth and ninth to the stripe as Augustino hangs on for 10 to the Corey Barrett and Evan Campbell. Will pick up 11th and 12th. I'm going to scratch that as Chris Hannigan drives around Campbell to take home the final invert spot. Meanwhile, the fight for 19th, John Combs is going to hang on, and well, there's our good old Turn 1 party we're used to seeing. Cars up on top of the wall. And they're about to get some more company. Hopefully. Yeah, there we go. We got some company coming in to liven things up. Oh, boy. No surprises there. Quite a few cars still have yet to finish off this race. And all of those cars are down at the tail end of the field. So I'll tell you what, we're going to take ourselves a step back. And when we return, we'll go over the sprint race results and your starting grid for the main event. We'll be back in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. We are getting set to take a rumble into the main event. This was how things closed on out from the sprint race just moments ago. From 12th place on up, they'll be inverted. So Chris Handy will start this race from pole. Corey Barrett alongside him on the front row. Augustino Bueller on row number 2. Tucker and Hall on row 3. Row 4 with Henry Morrison Alvarez. Row 5 with King and Romano. Then Kasich and Fleming will be back there as well to close out the top 12 of this race. Continuing on down through the field, then from 13th on back, you'll have Evan Campbell, who will, of course, start 13th, along with Tyler Carlton. Then you will have Ron Wolf and Brooks Clayton, Adam Joseph Melhott and Chris Bright, John Combs and Ben Williams. And then closing out the back half of the field, Matthew Dupuis, Ryan Murphy, Ringo Harrison, Carson Kaplan, Jason Lee, Shane Cameron, Ethan Patel, Eric Ronenberg, Alex Cofford, and Darren Bai. From there, it's Greg Beckman, Tyler Vian, and Chris Zofer, James Gouge, Blake Gambrill, Jeremy Castro, Kyle Smith, Kyle Blevins, Chris Flams, Jordan Babcock, Barry Piper, Ethan Conti, and Stephen Purcell bringing up the tail of the field. So all of that is how things line on up for the 7-lap main event coming on up in just a few moments' time. If you want to find out more about what we're doing on Green Flag TV, well, look no further than our upcoming live streams tab, as we got the Speed Cup Series out at Avondale, Arizona tomorrow night at the Phoenix Raceway. Round number 4, their championship there at 9:15. The SRA IEL Truck Series went through a tumultuous couple of days. Was looking like the league might very well be shuttering its doors, but an administrative contingency came together to save that league, and they are now back and ready for more. They will be racing either at the Nashville Super Speedway or at North Wilkesboro Speedway coming on up this Saturday night, and then a doubleheader on Sunday. The Classic IndyCar Series. You can come on out to Homestead Miami Speedway to learn all about the drivers that will be racing the 2025 season at the preseason media day at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday afternoon. And then at 8 o'clock p.m. on Sunday night, the SRL Xfinity Series is back for more at the Daytona International Speedway Road Course to close out the week. Well, the field is rolling, and we're about ready to go once again for the 7-lap main event. So Chris Hannigan leads the way, Corey Barrett alongside him on the front row. We saw how chaotic that opening salvo of corners can be. It'll be no doubt even more intense when we go on down there for the second time with a full field of cars tonight. So the pack works our way through the S's. And it will be in the hands of Chris Hannigan to lead us to the green flag. Bound to be a wild time, as for the second time this afternoon, time to let loose at the ring, as they'll take to the start-finish line. It's go, go, go in Germany! Good solid launch from Chris Hannigan, 3-4 wide into the opening salvo. No surprises here. Couple of cars being tipped around at the back, one of those being buried, and he got more problems with Campbell being spun around. Another car, one of the glaze machines, is off the road, and we've still got cars piling in to the second part of the chicane. And there is a safety car. Questioning about that safety car period. I'm wondering if the drivers are going to keep racing. It looks as though they are. Not sure exactly what's going on, but for the time being, it does look like we are indeed racing. Might have told the drivers to just ignore it and go. Alex Crawford going to take off the road there for just a brief moment. Well, we got a potential battle brewing for the number 5 spot on the racetrack. Behind them, Ben Williams, Scott Fleming, John Combs, all under the blanket. No moves being made for position. Albeit a couple of cars have gone around at the tail end. Now side by side for second, Tyler Augustino picks off the spot from Corey Barrett up over the jump. Mueller still maintaining his strong run back and forth. Up over the rise, a couple of cars getting into it a bit there. And heads up, that's going to send one of them into the wall. That's Shane Cameron. Ethan Patel making a lot of big moves as well. Hard on the binders, 2 cars off into the right side wall. They'll quickly get back sorted, and a few cars still spinning out there. And Ron Wolf has tanked the wall, and Crawford's gone around. Alex Crawford sends it a little bit too deep, and oh, we got Jordan Babcock hard into the wall right in front of our camera. And he's not the only one, as Ethan Conde tries to chastain the wall. Oh no, big crash at the top of the hill! Alvarez with a big mistake. Flies off the road and game over for Alvarez. Just got into the grass and looking like one car behind followed him in. A huge moment up over the rise. We got a big kind of growing pile up here top of the hill. That is Shane Cameron right now that is off the road. Shane Cameron gonna have to take a tow back to the pits, and this is why. Donovan in the front, there you see Jeremy Kasparov throwing it heavily, and the tire bundles just behind him. He actually took out the 43 Schnitzigo car before he himself spun off into the fence. Just wasn't a whole lot he could do in that situation, as a lot of cars are pulling out of this race early on. A lot of them have found themselves taking tows back to the pits. Still a bit unclear as to what they're going to be doing with this pseudo safety car out on the racetrack. As around goes Alex King for a moment. Quickly gathers it up. Looks like they're letting them race, but I mean, Babcock, Bueller, Tucker, Alvarez, Wolf, Harrison, Cameron, Viet, and holy cow, there's a lot of them off the road right now. No idea what is going on. report coming in from Beer League Administrator Ron Wolf. They are abandoning this race, and they will be doing it again. Oh boy! Around goes the 14 of Henry Morris hard into the wall. So this race has officially been aborted. They are going to have to remake the lobby and do the same thing all over again. We saw this happen once for the Monday race. Well, it is what it is. So we'll take ourselves a step back. When we return, we'll be back with more for the restart in a moment. Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Session has been remade, and we are once again ready to rumble. This time, we have got our standing starts in play. The long story short for why what happened is because the yellow flag bot from Bristol Motor Speedway 2 weeks ago was still in play, and hence we find ourselves, well, where we are now. So the field is getting lined up on the starting grid on the front straightaway and just about ready to take off once again. Chris Hannigan still will be leading the way off of this one. Corey Barrett back in second. We are down 4 cars from the original 43 that looked to start this race. Now we have only 39 on the grid this afternoon. So we've lost a handful, but for the most part, looking like we're going to be able to kind of get things back rolling. And we'll see if Chris Hannigan can once again get away just like he did. Just waiting on 3 more cars. Alex Crawford, Ringo Harrison, Ron Wolf, and Giovanni Romano make that 4 to grid on up. Down to just 1. Romano likely going to be starting this race from pit road as he did throughout the 2 starts so far that we've had tonight. You can hear drivers revving on up. Everybody's raring to go. Everybody wants to get a move on, and, well, the lights are finally going to flick on for the 2nd time tonight. Time to go once again at the beer league as we let loose at the ring. Once again, the drive deep into turn numbers 1 and 2. 4 wide at the back. So far, so clean. Had a big pileup last time through here, but this time, how about that? We're going to get out of that one unscathed, not one car going around. So lap 1 off to a good start this afternoon. Chris Hannigan continuing to rip clear from this field while everyone else files in behind. Bucky's number 4 still doing a good job on leading the way at the head of this field. He's going to fire through that fast pink and now back up the hill towards the NGK chicane. Blasting through the faster layout of it. Here's a couple of cars trying to go double file into it. It's a brave move. Doable though. And they'll get themselves single filed out after all. And now entering the Nordschleife. Down through turn number 1. Still no crashes in this opening lap, but we're bound to get them eventually. And in fact, as I say that, Ronimer's gone around to the tail of the field. Meanwhile, Kasich and Hall side by side up towards the jump. Contact between the two. They're able to get it sorted, but now we approach the jump. 2 wide for second, up over the hill. And a bit of side-by-side, as always, brave through that double right-hand apex. Oh, one car's gone into the wall. That's Alex King. Now finds himself into the Armco on the right-hand side. He's able to gather it up. And now for Armberg. There's Hannigan, and right behind him, there's Augustino and more. One car slides off into the guardrail. 2 cars slide off into the guardrail. And one more going to bounce back into it. Ethan Condi tracking through the middle. Still able to gather up and pull clear. Double file into Foxhole at the bottom of the hill. Through Flukplatz, Combs, and Bright side by side as Bright forced to go evasive for a moment into the grass. Bit of a flash of the headlights there for Adam Joseph Mailhot. Not happy, but he's being raced by James Gouge as Gouge goes off the road and tracks back on. Carson Catlin is in the mix of this battle as well now. And all of this fighting for 22nd on down as well. These are for spots that are well down the field, relatively inconsequential to the grand scheme of things, but still they're fighting just hard because points are on the line. We've got one car going around, got a couple of cars going around, and one into the guardrail. Concord collected up with Darren By. Big moment for By as he clatters into the tire bundles. There's Blevins and just up, over, and wall. Oh, trouble! Hannigan! Hannigan, the race leader's gone around! The race leader spins it at the top of the hill. He's gonna try to gather it up, but it's a long straightaway. Disaster for Chris Hannigan, though. The race leader finds himself facing the wrong direction. Trying to get a look on what happened here. Oh, caught the curb and just lost it. Tags the wall, make this now a two-way fight for the lead between Augustino and Bueller. Barrett, Tucker, Morse, all under a huge blanket as well. Gearing up for the carousel for the first time tonight. Double file, meanwhile, Combs getting in a bit with Justin Hall. As we work through the carousel for the first time tonight in the main event. So far, so good. Nobody opting for double file through here, and I'm not surprised. It's not really a place where double file is feasible. Combs tumbling down the field, tail of this battle pack, and now Alex King under fire as Hall trying to get through, bodies out King. Justin Hall struggling for pace right now. In the middle of that is pull center Chris Hannigan. Hannigan trying to find a way to get through. Oh, they're around to the back end, Patel into the wall big. He's gonna collect Dupuis, slides across the track and collects a couple. Still stopped, middle of the track, head on impact, collects the 549, sorry. And they're not done piling yet, I reckon. Jumps across the track to try and just get the heck out of the way. Quick to me, oh, big hit for Justin Hall, hard into the wall. As Wolf is junked with Ron Wolf. Blind uphill corner, Cali gets through the grass and checks up another car. 3 wide down the hill, can they survive this? It's gonna get tight. They might be able to though. I think we're going to be able to get around it, but jeez Louise. Justin Hall up the road, and this is his impact as that is a massive lick into the wall. And Ron Wolf just had nowhere to go. He's on board with Hall. Boom. Battles on for the lead. Augustino, Bueller, Morse. At the end of the long dot and a hose stretch that's about a mile long. Up. And around. Through the final corner, Augustino will lead the way at the end of lap number 1. One car still stopped on the front straightaway. That is Jeremy Castro. I don't believe ever really got going. Not sure what is going on with Castro down to the tail end. Ben Williams has taken to pit road. As we work our way through the Grand Prix layout for the first time tonight. Across the Catlin under fire from John Combs down to turn 1. Combs sweeps to the inside. Can he pick off the move? Oh, it bangs off the door. He'll have the inside for turn 3. And that should guarantee him the spot. Meanwhile, Bueller's got a run going on Agostino. Down to turn 1 of the Nordschleife. A hefty battle going on down here as well in the Grand Prix section. This is Flams and Crawford. Side by side, they'll trade blows and quickly single file themselves out. On board with Alexander Bueller as he chases after Tyler Agostino. Over the rise, you hear the revs ping off the limiter for a moment as all 4 wheels leave the ground. Down the hill, still closing, lifting just a little bit to keep balance under the car. And now slowing it up as we set for Arnberg. Still within 0.2 of a second in the battle for the race lead, but it's not going to show any kind of fruition in this one as one car off the road. That's Adam Joseph Melhott. He's going to get himself sorted. Meanwhile, Catlin make that haul out wide. Just in front of Catlin, Romano gets through. And Jason Lee will pick up another spot potentially as well. Still double file down the hill through Foxhole. And back up the hill. Oh, haul again off the road and into the wall. This time it's going to go all the way around. No, it won't. Catches it with some more help from the Armco barrier. Kyle Blevins, though, will manage to get around him. Battles, man, they ebb, they flow. And boy, when they pick up, they really pick up. Kyle Blevins hanging on still from Greg Beckman. Beckman picks off a spot from Blevins. And look like no harm, no foul. Adam Joseph Melhott and John Combs now side by side. And Combs picks up a move as he dives into the hairpin. Agostino, Bueller, Morse. Still running 1, 2, and 3 for the lead of this race. Chris Hankin has recovered up to 9th. Just picking off Evan Campbell. Chris Flams looks to beat back Giovanni Romano. Romano takes that one away with ease. So fights on for the lead. Agostino and Bueller a 10.5. Does Bueller commit for the move? He's looking. Agostino covers. And there will not be a look this time by. But a lot of these drivers are doing an awesome job. Oh, we got problems. Jason Lee around big into the wall along with Carson Catlin up the road. Major incident coming over the rise, and this is what happened to Lee. Catlin right behind him and tags, and oh my goodness! Brutal impact into the wall there for Jason Lee. This is on board. Tucker that almost went to the fence a little ways back in the fight for fourth with Jake Kasich. Jake Kasich is going to go into the wall and spin all the way around. And he just got kind of caught up on the curbing. This is what he saw. A little bit distracted there for Tucker's line. Yep, over the curb and wall. They'll get you. Jake Kasich still around with the tail end and still trying to gather himself up. Struggling though with all this traffic still flying up on him. Now he's ready to go. He just has to wait for a hole. Meanwhile, back straight away, Bueller and Morse nose to tail. Potentially could run down Augustino here. They've got the draft. All the way down this insanely long straightaway. Past the tourist drive-in entrance. Back down to 210s. Can't make the pass, but they did not let Augustino break away. Further down the field, a fierce fight between Evan Campbell and Moore. Oh, and off the road, gonna go one car. Rejoins the track. That was Alex King having a moment. And the top four have hit pit road. Potentially could not make it on the fuel, and it's looking like that's gonna be the same for a bunch unless we have just hit a code 69. Looks like we have, as Alvarez is lifting off of the throttle. Allen takes a quick off-road excursion, while everyone else cycles back out. And, well, unclear if we are under code 69. Does not look like we are, though. Thought when we were under code 69, we are not, though. Alvarez is still moving with the belief that he can go an extra lap. That's a dangerous assumption to make at a track this long. If you run out of fuel, it's a long way back to the pits. Could be a day under. So we'll see if Alvarez can push the distance, but right now, Giovanni Romano with the lead of the race. He also did not come in this time by Agostino, still the net race leader. So 5 laps to go. Working lap 3 of 7. And now, without much momentum between several drivers in this field, Alex Cofford makes the move on Brooks Clayton. Passes him up for 15th. Meanwhile, further up the field, Alex King in a battle with Evan Campbell. Intensifying battle here, back for the number 11 spot, as King is not letting Campbell run away with that spot, and he's being pressured now as well by Chris Hannigan, who runs back in 13th place. Greg Beckman's had a problem. We'll take a look at what that is in just a moment if Campbell doesn't get past here. No move being made, it looks like. This is Beckman. Upset the car hard into the wall. Other than that, only a solo car incident. Jamming on the brakes and going for the move here as Alex King tries to send around the outside of Campbell, but he's in too hot, rejoins the track. One car just bulldozing across the grass. That's Campbell trying to get out of it. And looking like he's finally going to find a way to kind of blend in. There was, you're on board with John Combs. He just got around Evan Campbell with that slowdown that he no doubt had. Up front, Henry Morse and Austin Tucker still fighting for 4th. This used to be a fight that Jake Kasich was involved in, but he crashed on the last lap after the carousel, which costed him big time. This is going to turn into a 3-way battle for the lead as well. If they could just stay within range of Agostino. You see that pink car way up the road? That is Giovanni Romano. Eric Ronenberg with the crash. Top of the circuit. He's got Patello near him. And contact with the number 31 sends him around. More battles started to pick up throughout the racetrack. Chris Hannigan, John Combs, and Alex Coffin are kind of under a blanket. Corey Barrett and Alex King are also going at it. And here is Mail Hot and flams, and off the road for a moment goes Chris Flames is able to survive it. Oh, and way up the hill goes Handigan. Where are you off to, Sunshine? And here's King. Still continuing his climb back through the ranks as he is now right behind Corey Merritt. A lot of feathering the throttle throughout this very technical section of racetrack. Trying to look left, look right, find any kind of chinks in that armor of the Schnitzengigel number 7. But Corey Merritt has proven in the past to be a tough nut to crack, and he is not about to give in so easily this time by either, as, oh, he tracks a little wide there. That could open up the door for King to find an in. He's right up the back bumper. He does have John Combs starting the pressure from behind, about the same distance between them. And there's also Coffin and Hannigan now drawing further into the mix. Henry Morris, that's Bueller through into fourth. Oh, and there's the move. King trying to make it on Barrett. No dice. 5-way grudge match right now. Alex Coffin is also in the mix. Oh, Barrett's been hit from behind by King. King was done waiting, and he has sent Barrett for a ride. Punches the number 7 around. Everyone else started to space out a bit more. But they're going to condense in a hurry once they hit the backstretch. Down the Dotnahoe. Coffer going side by side with Hannigan just behind. Alvarez is in a pit road and expected Romano to come in this time by as well. There's the look. Combs trying to get around Alex King. Forcing him out to the right. 2 wheels on the grass. Coffer closing fast. And many cars coming into pit road. Right now, top 8 are into the lane. We got 1 into the wall. That is Brooks Clayton. We'll get a look at what happened to him in just a moment. Hard on the brakes as we're racing for the line. Tyler Carlton leads the way. The rest of the field cycling out behind. And pacing slowly because we have just hit our first code 69 of the race, hence why we see a mass exodus to the pits for fuel. So that explains all of that. This is what happened. Brooks Clayton finding himself kind of going off the road, way deep in the field here. All by himself. I'm very curious to find out what happened here to Clayton. Speeded up to the end of the straight. Approach of the Bilstein Bridge. Oh, wow. Way too friendly with the brakes there up over the hill and heavy into the wall. This is Ryan Murphy having an issue, and Matthew Dupuis behind. Looking like he had something similar go down. There's Murphy, and Dupuis did the exact same thing, and in fact even ended up in the same spot. So this code 69 lasts, it's not a long one, it lasts all the way around to the Nordschleife. And once they hit the Nordschleife, Tyler Carlton should be getting the message that field is his to control. Several cars are still catching the tail end of the field through the Grand Prix section. And at any moment now, we should see these cars released. Still waiting for the release call to be given to Tyler Carlton. Almost the entirety of the field has caught up to him. In fact, there are... Oh boy, what is going on back here? Jason Lee going very slowly. And that car is out of fuel. Jason Lee underestimated the fuel numbers and just trying to limp his car around as the field has been instructed to get past him. Picking up speed. There he goes. He's gotten some momentum behind him and looking like, okay, so he's running on fumes. He's got enough. And, whoa, careful. Trying very carefully to save as much as he possibly can. Very much shutting the car on and off as he goes. There it is. Cars are released. We are back to racing. Close as the field has ever been through this section of racetrack, and this is setting us up for what could be a colossal disaster. Everyone's going to be single, looking for double file coming down the hill. No problem so far, though. Now the big question is, what about over the top of the hill? Campbell's found the wall, no problems there. Chris Bright almost goes off the road. I think for the most part, we've gotten away with it. As I say that, we got a couple of them bottled up. And more problems middle of the straightaway. King's gone around, and he's taking one of the highlighter cars with him. That is Ben Williams. John Combs just pushed across the nose of Williams and sent them both into the wall. Everyone else fanning out. Carlton continues to lead the way, but we are expecting Carlton to pit at the end of this lap. Augustino Still sits number 2, and right now is your net race leader. Ryan Murphy has crashed. Looking like this one was self-inflicted. Too deep. Grass. Wall. And Blake Gambrill, literally a second ago, has had a problem at the same complex. And I'm willing to bet identical mistake as well. And in fact, it was. As there is Murphy still trying to get going. On board with Bueller, chasing the top 2. In a battle with Augustino for the net race lead. Bottleneck at the back here. This is Ethan Condi slipping through the field as he's going to lose a handful. And Alex King really leaning on the back of Condi, trying to get him. Hey, let's get moving. We got a race to run, so he doesn't like being held up at all. You can tell that much. Top 5 still within 1.6. Carlton right now very much a cork in the bottle. Got one car to the wall big. That's Scott Fleming that is now tumbling down the field. He's going to lose a handful of spots. Otherwise, looking like A-OK. On board with Alexander Bueller, fighting his car as he still chases after Augustino. He's got a good run on him, but no, can't take it anywhere. Just gets boxed in with nowhere to go. Carlton pulls a second on these guys. This is an insane place to lap around, and all these onboards are really not doing it justice about how intense and how busy it is inside that cockpit. Trying to wrangle these cars around this ancient racetrack. And now, once again, we hit the Dogna Ho. Approaching 3 to go. Further behind, how about this? A 3-wide battle between Crawford, Combs, Tucker. And almost some moves being made. Austin Tucker gonna back out of that fight. Just in time for that bumpy braking zone up over the crest. These guys here, though, might not get that memo. Catlin, Bright going double file. Ron Wolf is in the fray, and Bright gets muscled out. Carlton hits pit road. But so far, everyone able to lock it down. Save for Catlin, who cuts through the grass, and he's going to have to slow down to serve. Couple more cars into the pits. 3 laps to go and 3 wide down the front stretch. Nürburgring blocks off the nose of Carson Catlin, trying to set up a run on Ethan Patel. And King successfully makes the move. So expecting everybody in this grouping to be coming down at the end of the lap. Agostino still doing his darndest to try and hang on from Alexander Bueller, but man, Bueller is on a tear right now. Keeping the Schnitzengagel number 69 nice and honest, and he's got Henry Morris and Giovanni Romano just behind him doing the same. Trouble for Cofford and Combs as both cars are off. Combs just ran over the back of the 19, sent him into the wall, and then Combs pulled aside to redress. Still no moves being made in this four-way grudge match for the lead, but boy, not for a lack of trying. I mean, these guys have been piling on the pressure time after time again. This famous racetrack, though, just one of those places where you really can't make moves at all anywhere on the racetrack. And it's a constant struggle if you're in anything that's faster than an MX-5. GT3 cars, they race around here, they struggle to overtake. Same story for GT4s. Touring cars, I'd imagine, might have a bit of an easier time than these BMW M2s. This fight might not be having much going on, and here's a fight that's about to have something going on as Alex Cofter bump drafting with Brooks Clayton down the back chute into trying to push him up towards Corey Barrett. So far, no dice all around there, but this fight for the lead starting to intensify, gets a little bit closer. Agostino hangs on from Bueller from Morse. Chris Zilfer has taken to pit road after this. Looking like he may have just decided to call it quits after he's, wow. Weird incident there, but deciding enough is enough. Agostino right now running a quarter of a second ahead of Alexander Bueller. Henry Morse and Giovanni Romano still remain in lockstep behind. Oh man, Morse so close to the back of Bueller, up and over the hill that time. Meanwhile, John Combs and Brooks Clayton doing similar, while Corey Barrett gets set to sling one over the hill and tries to set himself up for the next series of corners. This whole section of racetrack is one of those areas where if you're offline for one corner, you're going to be offline for the next 5 or 6. You just got to keep that momentum up. This whole section of racetrack is so critical, so momentum based, that is something that just cannot be understated. Agostino, Bueller, Morse, 1, 2, 3. And, oh, look out! Holy cow! Brooks Clayton, high speed off with John Combs. Combs still not safe. He's still losing it, He's going to collect Patel. Patel goes into the wall. A wild crash started when Brooks Clayton caught the grass, swung it out wide, and nearly took to the grass. And then John Combs rebounded across the track and took out Ethan Patel with him. So that ends that 5-way fight. That's one way to settle it, I guess. Meanwhile, 4 cars drafting up the hill. Morse makes the move for second. Now makes the move for the lead. Henry Morse trying to go for the race lead in his maiden start. And he's going to secure it at the end of the Donny-a-Ho into the final SS. Expecting this gaggle to come down to pit road this time by for their last fuel stop of the night. And as expected, they are all in. Good chunk of cars are down to pit road. This is on board with Corey Barrett as he gets set to attack pit road. Pretty much everyone coming down to the lanes this lap. Not seeing anybody so far that's staying out. While Duplessis gets air and wall. That is at the top of the Donny-a-Ho section. Meanwhile, Romano leads the way. Giovanni Romano, in the midst of all of that, somehow picking up the race lead, was better by almost 2 seconds on Alexander Bueller and Co. And now has 1.2 seconds on him through the Grand Prix layout. So battles quickly getting themselves sorted. Alex King trying to line up a run on Ron Wolf. Gonna have something for him into the NGK chicane, though I don't think, no, he's not gonna commit to it. Jason Lee takes to the grass. While John Combs fends off Ben Williams. That is brave. That is super brave. Oh, contact! King's off the road and hard into the wall. K6 sweeps through on both of them. While Hannigan's going to pick up 6th. Maybe it'll have to be a side-by-side battle down through Foxhole. And it won't be. Alvarez hangs on. James Gouge has had an issue. And looking like he might have collected Darren Bai as well. Oh, Bai caught the grass sideways and boom! Man, took James Gouge with him. Wild moment for the Hot Wheels driver. Right there, just nicked the grass. That's all she wrote, and that car was not stopping. This is on board with JK, so watch him just slip through this mess. Right, there's the contact, and he is going to take 2 for 2. Alex King still not looking to be denied as he's going to fend off Ron Wolf. Oh, and Hall has gone into the wall. Yeah, that grass will catch you like that, buddy. With a lot of racing still left to go in this one, let's ride on board with Alex Crawford for a little bit as he tries to run down Scott Fleming. We'll let you listen to the sights and sounds of the Nürburgring. Boy, what an aggressive battle this has turned into as Alex Crawford running down Scott Fleming. Just over a lap to go. Your leaders, in fact, just seconds away from taking the white flag. This is the battle for the number 2 spot. Augustino has caught Bueller and is going to try to bump draft it to see if they can't break clear of Henry Morris. They do not want to have the rookie getting involved in their fight, but I don't think they're going to have a choice about it because Henry Morris is reeling him in with the draft. Further down the pack, meanwhile, Confident Fleming side by side as we get set to fire up that very, very bumpy section of the brakes. Contact! Crawford, look out! Look out, Crawford! Sliding out, he's able to keep it on the road somehow. Holy cow, that was insane. Take a look at this as hops up and oh, I thought he was gone. Meanwhile, Lee and Moore still embroiled in their own little grudge matches. And that battle that'll quickly sort itself out, but here's the fight for a second on the last lap of this race. Looking like Justin Hall may have had an issue here. Okay, wow. Yep. That is an issue, all right. Way more of an issue than I realized. Holy cow. High speed off, but did a good job on slowing it down, more or less. So this here, the big fight for the number 2 spot, which is really turned into a fight for third almost. As Bueller started to pull away. Trouble, Chris Flams is around. Top of the hill, Ron Wolf gonna power through the smoke. And Alex King has just had issues of his own. And Flams is sideways again. Oh, look out. Williams not sure where to go. Boy, this is awkward. Just get off the track at that point. Scott Fleming has gone around. All this while this fight for second remains. Man, you again see all 4 wheels lifting off the ground. That is just insane to me. Harrison, meanwhile, has taken the jump back to the pit road. Bueller continues to pull distance while Augustino's got Henry Morris attacking him for third, and makes a pretty easy pass there for that number 3 spot. Augustino didn't really fight it all that much. Solid pass there all around for Morris to put him up in the third. Scott Fleming off the road again. Battle for second started to dissipate somewhat. Do you still have Alex King blocking horns with Ben Williams? This is back for 13th. And almost a full minute behind Giovanni Romano, who is a couple kilometers up the road at this point. Oh, look out. A little dip to the grass. And this long sector of racetrack should help to reel this battle for second back in on each other. Problems for Alvarez. Antonio Alvarez having issues here is, yep, too much curve and bites him big. Gap down to 4/10 between Bueller and Morse. And unlike Augustino, I don't think Morse is going to show any quarter on trying to go after a number 2 spot here. Just 4.4 seconds up the road is Giovanni Romano. In fact, there is Romano, bottom of your screen. Blevins has gotten to a big mess, and this is what happened to the Flying Donut Motorsports, number 248, sideways, locks it down, and nice job to keep that out of the wall. Justin Hall, though, has gone off the road, and that's an awkward moment for him, but should be able to re-rack them, restack them without much issue. Oh boy. Both Morris and Bueller kind of getting a little bit crossed up there. Alexander Bueller still keeping good traction so far. Right now on track for the number 2 spot, but Morse could very easily steal that away from him down the Donington. Haven't talked about Romano much. Started this race from pit road. He has since driven through the field to take up the top spot. Wouldn't that be something for Romano to pick up another win of his beer league career? Still not out of the woods yet, though, for this battle for the number 2 spot. Tyler Augustine now over a second back from Morse, effectively has lost the draft. It's going to be a 2-horse race to see who finishes where on the podium. And here we go. Down the Donington Hill for the final time. Bueller pulls left. Morse tucks into the draft. Augustino trying to see if he can get a sniff of it and see if he still has a shot at the podium. Bueller cuts back left, trying to break that draft. Henry Morse pulls to the right. Side by side as they approach the Bilstein Bridge. Morse gets into second. Can Bueller pass him back, though, in the final couple of corners? He's got the toe back down the straight. Through the braking zone, up over the hill. Morse looking like he's going to hang on. Giovanni Romano, meanwhile, picks up his 23rd win in the beer league. Well, no! Morse runs out of fuel! Morse runs out of fuel right at the buzzer, and he's going to lose 4th. From 2nd to 3rd on the grid, it's heartbreak for Henry Morse, while Bueller picks up the number 2 spot. Right on board with Henry Morse. This is a devastating blow. So close. You can already hear the car sputtering, and here he is out. There's one, and right at the line, loses a podium. While that was going on, Matthew Dupuis had this crash. Not of his, oh yeah, it kind of was of his own making, actually. I'm gonna recant that. One by one, battles getting so sort of, oh boy, Scott Fleming off the road, and around him is gonna go Chris Flams, as Fleming is also out of fuel. Fleming trying to coast back to the line. Meanwhile, what about Bright and Mailhot? What do they have in the tanks? Back up over the hill for the final time. And in the last big battle on the racetrack, there is John Combs. He did make it to the line. Bright is going to hang on. At this point, now it's just a question of, do drivers have the fuel to go the distance? Dupuis going to have the fuel. So will Hall. So will Blevins. No problems for them coming up to the line. Here's Ethan Condy. One of the last cars on the racetrack. He, Ryan Murphy, and Jordan Babcock will be the last of the finishers this afternoon. Jordan Babcock might be on fumes. He is in a high gear right now. Yep, nope, he just ran out as well coming over the hill, but he will have enough to at least make it back to the stripe. And all of that is going to finally take us to the end of racing action here this afternoon. Boy, it was a grueling race in this one, but a race that is won once again by Giovanni Romano. Alexander Bueller was second, Augustino in third. Henry Morse, what could have been, had second place, runs out on the front stretch and loses out, drops to fourth. Still the AM class winner though. Asa Tucker picks up third, Confidence sixth, Hannigan seventh, and it's Kasich, Alvarez, and Cambo for the top 10. Then it's Ron Wolf, Tyler Carlton, Ben Williams, Carson Catling, Chris Flams, Alex King, John Combs, Scott Fleming, Brooks Clayton, Kyle Smith, Chris Bright, Adam Joseph Mailhot, James Gouge, Darren Bai, Jason Lee, Greg Beckman, Corey Barrett, Matthew Dupuis, Justin Hall, Kyle Blevins, Ethan Condy, Ryan Murphy, Jordan Babcock, Harrison, Zofer, Patel, Ronenberg, Gambrell, and Castro close out the field in this one. Boy, a wild, wild race this afternoon. Let's get a chance to give a chit chat here to all the drivers that come home number 1, 2, and 3 at the end of the night, and we will look to kick it off first and foremost with one Giovanni Romano, who ends up making one heck of a drive to take home win number 23 on the day. The Canadian conquers Germany, and well, Gio, it is your 23rd win and the Beer League's first race at the Green Hell. It's got to feel good to get a win at this place.
Yeah, especially Nürburgring is not usually my best track, so I'm happy that I did well.
Kind of walk us through the night. It was a very unusual race, and of course we had that big delay in the program when the main event got kicked off, but it's such a different race compared to everything else that we do on Green Flag TV. Kind of the same as Bristol, but on the opposite side of the spectrum. How did that play into your race tonight?
It is pretty funny. We rolled a half mile. We did a half-mile short track followed up by the longest track in the world, so that's pretty funny. I think the biggest thing is that because the race got delayed, it's freaking late. I was falling asleep. I am falling asleep. I'm gonna go jump into bed right after this. It was just fighting like a mental battle, just trying to stay awake and do the fuel number on the last stop while brain's kind of losing steam, so that was a big impact. And just the track being long definitely makes the strategy a bit different because it was a close to two or three stop. I was one of the few people who saved fuel at the start to make it a two stop, and that got me a ton of track position, and that was probably the key, really.
You talk a lot about the fuel strategy in this race. Looking, though, to the fuel numbers, we saw second place runner Henry Morris actually run out of fuel coming to the line. He lost second and third as a result. How close was the fuel number for you?
For the last stint, that was okay, because that's extra Henry, by the way. He had a really good run. It would have been cool to see him get a podium on his first race, so that's a shame, but I didn't notice that. I was good on the last run. I had my sleepy brain math ended up being correct, and I was good by like a little bit, you know, 0.3 or whatever gallons, whatever. Just put in enough. But yeah, you have to be careful because the fuel calculator isn't necessarily accurate because it gets screwed up by the safety car that we have, our sort of pseudo safety car, and it can give you wrong numbers. So you kind of have to do the head math, and you're kind of on your own, really.
Well, Gio, we wish you the best of luck in the last 2 weeks. Who knows? Maybe we'll see you get your 25th win by the end of our 10th season of competition.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to to next week. See what track we get.
Giovanni Romano takes win number 23 this afternoon. No sign of Alexander Bueller, so we'll jump straight back to our surprise third-place finisher, Tyler Augustino. Tyler, it was looking like it was going to be a fourth place for you. You weren't really in the fight for it coming onto the Donningaho, and as you come out of the final corner, all of a sudden, more slows, out of gas. What was going through your head as you passed him to take the win with about 100 feet to spare?
Well, I mean, I had already congratulated Gio on his win maybe 2 laps before the end of the race. I was kind of resigned to slowly falling out of the podium there. I think it was pretty clear to me that the guys behind me were faster on pace, and, you know, it's the Nordschleife, so it's just kind of hard to pass. But once we got to white flag and they were, you know, feeling a little bit more aggressive and those moves started to come out, I knew I was going to be a sitting duck. And I was kind of hoping for just to keep in touch of that draft range for the last straightaway there. Ended up falling a little bit out of it. I think it was about 1.2 seconds coming out of the last corner before the straight, before Dottenjerho. And, you know, it's just not close enough to get that big leapfrogging run that I was hoping for. But when I saw a car pull over just before the finish line running out of fuel, I'm certainly not going to complain about that. It's an interesting strategy race. You know, we were going back and forth on whether the 2 or 3 stoppers were going to be it. I know some people were fuel saving, so you know, you never know. You never know what's going to happen, especially late in the race and especially at the ring.
We talk about a lot in these cars about how difficult it is to pass sometimes, but we get to a track like this, and it's a new level of complex with how long it is, with how demanding it is, and how unforgiving it can be as well to any mistake. You finished near the edge of the top 12 for the invert in the sprint, so how were you able to then fend off the field to pick up a solid third this afternoon where you started at?
I mean, I think I'm still adjusting to this car, but ultimately the Nürburgring is a track that I have just a ton of laps on. So being able to just kind of, you know, dial it back a little bit, keep myself online, and just kind of, you know, be not quite Sunday driving. You know, you're still leading a race. You're still trying to keep guys behind you, but just kind of relying on some of that knowledge that I've had on slower cars of how to get around this track safely and reasonably quickly. But you know, you're just adjusting constantly. It's all about avoiding the curbs that are going to launch you up into the sky, and avoiding the cars that are willing to take a little bit more risk than you are, and you know, maybe sometimes lifting out of it when it's clear that they're going to get out in front of you, and just kind of being smart the whole race. I think that's what this track values more than anything. You're not so much racing everybody else, you're racing yourself, and you're racing the track.
We look forward now to next week. We've had quite a few tracks this season that we've never been to before in the beer league, but next week it's a track that everyone's familiar with. We seem to go there once every couple seasons or so. It's the Fuji Speedway. What do you think is going to be in store for these cars as we swing back to the shores of Japan?
It's gonna be fun. There's a nice long straightaway there. I think my favorite bit about it is that I think it's the no chicane variant of Fuji, which means there's a little jump for these cars, which will be super fun. We last took this track in the Mustang, and that had a lot of suspension play to it, so it was fun to kind of launch ourselves up over it. So we're looking forward to that. That's always fun.
Did you not run
But
this
it's
car
just a
in the,
great track.
late models as well?
Was it late models? I might have skipped that, to be honest. I didn't have a super great time in the late model season.
I remember there being one other.
We did them in
race.
GT4s as well. We did it as a
there we
preseason
go. That's
race for the
what it was.
GT4s. So yeah, a little bit of a history. I think the league knows it pretty well. It's a great track. It's got plenty of space. That's why we picked it for the preseason race for the GT4s, was to give ourselves a little bit of room to feel out the cars and race each other a little bit. I think it's a pretty good penultimate track for us.
It's going to be a fun ride next week, and we look forward to seeing what you're going to be able to do with that Schnitzinger machine. Congratulations on third tonight, and we'll see you next week in Japan.
Thanks, Nolan. Have a good night.
Tyler Augustino comes home third at the end of this one, and well, with that, that is about all the time we're going to have for one afternoon. But boy, a wild race this afternoon, and it does not get much crazier than that. Coming on up, though, on Green Flag TV, you got a lot of racing action around the corner. Speed Cup Series takes to the Avondale Desert. They are out at Phoenix Raceway tomorrow night for round number 4. The SRA IL Truck Series, after a tumultuous 48 hours, returns to racing action. Same plan as to be at 7:55 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday night. And then check out the Classic IndyCar Series Media Day. Meet the personalities, see the new cars, and find out what drivers' goals are as we get set to duke it out into the new season of 2025 for their 11th season of competition, as well as the Israel Xfinity Series swinging back out to the Sunshine State to beautiful Daytona, just up the coast from Homestead Miami Speed, where the Media Day is, and we'll be seeing you all out there as well for more Sunday night racing action. In the meantime, if you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. My name, as always, is Nolan Rempel. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time when we go racing at Fuji.